Thank you for joining us on KTN Prime. William Silla is our sign language interpreter. I'm Nancy Kachungira. Now, Deputy Inspector General Grace Kaindi and the Rift Valley Regional Coordinator Osman Warfa today landed in Nadome village, where 54 people died in a fierce gunfight between the Turkana and the Pokot. However, there was drama when they landed, as a man suspected to be a survivor fired a gun at the entourage from a distance, forcing the security team to scamper for their safety. Aaron Acheng has the details.
It was meant to be a fact-finding mission in Nadome by a team of top security personnel led by Deputy Inspector General of Police Grace Kaindi. But it ended up being a narrow escape from death for the security team. Kaindi, together with Rift Valley Regional Coordinator Osman Warfa, escaped death narrowly while touring the area where 66 people were killed on Monday. The team, which also comprised of Assistant Deputy Inspector General Peter Mpampa, who is leading the operation, and a local MCA, had just disembarked from a helicopter at Kalpat area in Nadome to count bodies of those killed on Monday. The gunman, who was 200 meters away, aimed the rifle at the group, forcing the Deputy Inspector General and her team to lie down and crawl as the lone gunman took aim. The gunman was, however, killed before he pulled the trigger by the Kenya Police Reservists. The team was forced to cut short their mission of counting the bodies of those killed. The Assistant Deputy IG told journalists at Chemongot that he had counted 31 bodies, but the local leaders insist that there are at least 66 bodies there.
I gave out the number that we saw on the ground yesterday as 20, myself. The operations we have carried on. And today we got 11. That makes that 1. So I cannot talk about what I've not seen.
Even if you don't like people, how can you dislike even until the bodies? Dead bodies, you cannot say that you don't like them. And we still have lost people. And there's no searching program going on at the moment.
Earlier, the Senate Security Committee had expressed displeasure in the manner in which top security officers are handling the Nadome attack.
The government, those who are in charge, of course, the new minister, the new IG, the officers manning security in the North Rift, we need them to up their game. We need them, or we want them to be more active than they have ever been.
Meanwhile, hours after appearing on KTN's Morning Express show, West Pokot Senator John Lenyangapuo has been summoned by criminal investigation officers to record statement on what he knows about the Nadome attack.
This problem took place in Baringo County and Turkana County. But the residents are of Pokot origin, and they speak the same language like myself. And as a leader from that community, my interest is raised to know how they can also, this community can come up to the level where the Kenyans have reached in terms of education and in terms of the day-to-day way of living in the world.
The senator is expected at the CID headquarters Friday morning. Aaron Acheng, KTN.
That brings us to our big question tonight. And tonight, we really are not asking for yes or no sort of answer. What we are looking for is your comment on the security operation to deal with the Pokot-Turkana clashes. What is your comment on the security operation to deal rather with the Pokot-Turkana clashes?
Do let us know your thoughts, and you can do that by tweeting us at KTN News KE, at Kachungira, and at Wilson_Mburu. You can also send an SMS. Send that to 22155. Share your thoughts with us this evening. We look forward to hearing from you.
So yet another disarmament exercise is set to begin in the conflict-ridden areas of Baringo and Turkana. Will this be any different from such undertakings done in the past after clashes? Samogina reports on the now standard fallback action and what it has achieved so far.
On November 2nd, 2014, the massacre of 22 security officers in Kapedo on the Baringo-Turkana border area jolted the government into action. President Uhuru Kenyatta personally toured the region, issuing an ultimatum to the Pokots to surrender the guns they had acquired from the slain officers.
Mimi silaha hizo ambazo zilichukuliwa kutoka hawa askari, mimi sitaki kungojea wiki mbili, nataka zirudishwe leo. Lazima mnajua wako wapi.
No mention was made of the illegal firearms in the hands of the Turkanas and Pokots in the volatile region. But the Inspector General of Police, Joseph Boynet, recently issued a 48-hour ultimatum for rustlers in Baragoe to surrender stolen animals and illegal weapons. To extend the tough government rhetoric on banditry was the Deputy President. Ruto threatened bandits with stern action.
If they fail to heed that warning, they will have nobody else to blame for whatever consequences will befall them after the expiry of that period.
Hawa watu wanatuangaisha na wizi wa ng'ombe, lazima watafute biashara ingine, kwa sababu hiyo biashara ya kuiba ng'ombe lazima ikome. Tumezungumza na wao for the last 1.5 years.
It appears cattle rustling and banditry in the wild northwestern Kenya is exposing government's weakness in dealing with the runaway vice. The bandits running riot and mocking government's rhetoric.
From now going forward, hatutakuwa tunaongea na watu eti tunawaita tunawaambia tuongee mambo ya wizi ya ng'ombe. No. From now going forward, we will roll the government machinery to make sure that every citizen is safe in their country.
The state, on the other hand, is either caught flat-footed or reluctant to crack the whip, whether by design or default. In the wake of the massacre of 56 in Nadome village, the Interior Ministry says it will arrest leaders inciting violence and financing cattle rustling in the region. As if the vice is a new development that the state does not know who to arrest.
The government is starting operation with immediate effect. The process will start. And if their leaders will be found to be culpable, they will face the full force of the law.
As government sits in Nairobi making plans to arrest and deploy officers, innocent lives, mainly of women and children, are snuffed out at will. No one is around to protect them or put a buffer zone. The nearest security installation is an administration police camp station more than 50 kilometers away. Is this a government's admission that the disarmament program in the region has failed? Gun-trotting bandits continue to terrorize the region. As the Pokots, Turkanas and Samburus, instead of surrendering their illegal weapons, are actually stocking the weapons to protect and defend themselves. The residents are left crying for some show of government presence in honor of its duty of protecting its citizens. Samuginai, KTN.
We turn our attention now to a looming health crisis. Severe cholera that remains untreated can kill up to half of the people that it infects. Sharon Momanyi has been following this latest outbreak of the disease, and she joins us now from our city center studio. Good evening, Sharon. What have you discovered about this latest outbreak?
Yes, Nancy, the situation seems to be fast becoming a crisis. Now it's getting to 2 months now since the onset of the cholera outbreak, and so far in the Mbagathi District Hospital here in Nairobi, 7 fatalities have been recorded, and also 101 patients have been admitted at the facility due to the suffering from the cholera. And this is just showing that the situation is becoming very bad. And in Nakuru County, 12 people have died from the disease, 2 from Migori, 2 from Mombasa, and officials are attributing this outbreak from the rainfall that is being experienced across the country, particularly in areas which suffer poor drainage. And this, as you will see in the report that I put together earlier, happens to be areas that are densely populated here in Nairobi. The most affected areas, the most affected area particularly is Kibera. Most of the patients who have been admitted at the Mbagathi District Hospital come from the area. and some of them also come from Kayole and the Mukuru-Wajenga slums. And some officials are also saying that more needs to be done in terms of preventive measures to stop this looming crisis. And here now is that report that I put together. In an isolated ward at the Mbagathi District Hospital lies 44 cholera patients. The number of patients is up from the 35 that had been admitted Wednesday. 7 people have since died.
Majority of the patients initially were from Kibera, but now we are beginning to see patients from all over Nairobi. We have had cases from Mukuru, we have had cases from Kayole, we have had cases from Kangemi, we have had cases from Isili, and now we also have one case of somebody who traveled all the way from Siaya.
Andrew Sule, the medical superintendent at the hospital, says that the facility has taken extra measures to handle the big number of patients.
In terms of logistics, we have gotten a lot of support. We have got enough beds and linen. We received recently from KEMSA. We have enough detergents. We are having a lot of support from MSF Belgium. The county has posted extra nurses and clinical officers, and MSF Belgium has also added a total of 4 staff.
The number of fatalities in Nakuru County has risen to 12, with officials reporting that infections have also risen from 76 to 85. Officials say the spread is due to unclean water through sewer lines coming into contact with broken clean water pipes as a result of vandalization. Ronda Estate in Nakuru has reported the highest number of victims, followed by Bondeni and other areas.
I would advise the public really, eat the food you are sure of how it is prepared. And the best food one should eat is the one you have prepared yourself. Be very careful about the water. Even the water from the tap, I think it is better boiled before they drink.
Many people have died since the onset of the outbreak in March. Other than the 7 fatalities in Nairobi and 12 in Nakuru, 10 died from the outbreak in Migori, 2 in Embu and 2 in Bomet. Mombasa has also been affected.
Though we've had 44 cases coming to our center, but only 11 who have actually confirmed positive cases.
Officials attribute the outbreak of the disease, which is caused by contaminated water, to the rains being experienced across the country, particularly in areas with poor drainage and sanitation. In a bid to contain the situation, Nairobi County officers raided poultry kiosks said to be slaughtering chickens without licenses along Jogoo Road. The officials advised all the poultry vendors to use only the licensed slaughterhouses, which include Bama, Maziwa and Karioko.
Anyone buying any poultry or meaty stuff must look for a stamp from the county government.
Over the last 1 month, 101 cholera patients have been admitted at this ward in Mbagathi District Hospital, showing that the outbreak is growing to be a crisis. Sharma Manyi, KTN, at the Mbagathi District Hospital in Nairobi.
Certainly a situation that needs to be taken care of before it gets worse. 5 suspects held over the Garissa University College terrorist attack will spend a second month in police custody. The prosecution asked for an additional 30 days allowed in the Prevention of Terrorism Act that allows for detention for a total of 90 days. Police say they will be able to conclude the investigations by then, and once done, they expect to charge the suspects with terrorism-related offences. Linda Ogutu now reports.
It has been a month since one of the most brutal attacks yet on Kenyan soil by Al-Shabaab militants, one that saw the country lose 148 lives. The 148 may have been buried, with the families struggling to accept the reality, hoping for justice for the departed souls. And today, the 5 men who are suspected to have contributed to the attack at the Garissa University College appeared before Principal Magistrate Kenneth Cheruyot following a fresh request for extended custodial orders by the police. The prosecution argued that several leads were being followed and an additional 30 days were reasonable, as the Prevention of Terrorism Act allows detention for a total of 90 days. Among the suspects is a Tanzanian, Rashid Charles Mberesero. Through him, police say they have arrested 10 more suspects following interrogations. The requested time, they say, will enable the police conclude with the investigations that involves sifting through massive phone data and recordings. One of the men held alongside the suspect, who was an employee at a hotel where the terrorists ate, was set free after investigations revealed that the attackers fed at the hotel without his knowledge. And so Principal Magistrate Kenneth Cheruyot ordered that Osman Abdi Dakane, Rashid Charles Mberesero, Elias Rehani Dida, Mohammed Abdi Abikar, Hassan Aidin Hassan, and Sahal Diriye Hussein be remanded in custody till June 4th in various undisclosed police stations. Even as that ruling was being made, the implications of that attack and indeed the state of insecurity in Garissa may have been the final nail on the proverbial coffin. Teachers stationed in Garissa have refused to go back to schools, citing fear for their lives.
Like, it will be a big disadvantage to all that the other Kenyans are being taught and we are not taught like something. We are all Kenyans, so we have to be taught the same way.
And so that attack may have robbed the country of 148 lives, but its effects may rob the entire region and a generation of education. Linda Ogutu, KTN Prime.
Well, last night the hashtag Nadome is Kenya put the spotlight on a part of Kenya that is seemingly forgotten. And tonight we continue with that hashtag, albeit in a slightly different way. Tonight we're asking you to comment on the security operation that has been started to deal with the Pokot-Turkana clashes. I think we already have quite a number of responses.
Quite a number of them, actually. Dave Nick here says it's severely failing. The government is severely failing Kenyans on security. More and more talks, but no action. I am greatly dissatisfied. Angeline Mutheo says the government should show action, but not just saying we will do this. The leaders are to be held accountable because they know what is really happening with their people on the ground. That is Eric Makatu. Joseph Muniu here says it's time Uhuru stopped talking and worked.
Well, there's one here from Charles Opil. He says that we're still having this discussion in this day and age is pitiful. And he puts the burden on the local leadership. He says they must act. Well, do remember that you can continue to chip in on this discussion. Nadome's Kenya, we're still using that hashtag. You can tweet us at KTN News KE, at Kachingira, and at Wilson_Mburu, or send us an SMS 22155. This is KTN Prime. We'll be back just after this break. Thank you for staying with us. Welcome back to KTN Prime.
Well, the sensitive land issue in the coast region was rekindled today when Mombasa County Commissioner Nelson Marwa released 15 names of those alleged to be behind a spate of illegal land invasion in that county.
Marwa now accuses the 15 people of being behind the rise of a group of people called professional squatters who keep invading people's lands.
KTN's coast reporter Francis Ontomwa reports.
Has revealed that kuna brokers, potential brokers, utampata Kisauni, utampata Changamwe, utampata Likoni, utampata Island.
Nelson Marwa was in his characteristic calm posture, bracing himself for yet another security update to members of the fourth estate. But as the tool later emerged, the man had much more under his sleeves, and for the first time uncovering faces alleged to be behind what he called illegal land invasions. And the alleged king of the ring was to be exposed.
Na kuna jamaa hapa anaitwa Bilia. Bilia pretends to be in TNA and is dragging in maneno mengi tu. Mwanze kushika huyu Bilia. Start with him.
This is Patrick Biria, Marwa mentioned, a TNA official and the man he strongly believes is the force behind the syndicate. And just when the tidings hit home, he comes out guns blazing.
I do not have any dispute on any land. In fact, mimi ninalipa nyumba ya kupangisha hapa Mombasa. Sina ploti mahali Mombasa hii ama pwani hii.
According to Marwa's list, other suspected masterminds of squatter land fights include Hashim Makazi, Katana Kibwana, Danson Kombe, Katana Kigwada, Tongolo Baya, Sudi Mbaga, and 9 others.
I do not have any idea who has feeding the commissioner these lies. It may be political rivals. It may be political enemies. It may be people who are out to finish me because they're envious.
The contentious land debate has been a hot potato in parts of Mombasa, and most explosive of all has been land occupied by squatters, where it is believed top brokers plant them forcefully in order to unseat the real owners and later run away with the goodies.
These people must be arrested. Not to worry about it. Land is a critical question here, and we cannot allow.
Waitiki, Mwakirunge and Kwabulo are some of the biggest parcels of land that investigators say trace almost a similar script.
Kama hauna bosi useme tukupatie askari na marori ya kutosha wherever they are.
I have no issues with anybody. I have no issues with even the opposition. I have no issues with the opposition.
The move to unmask faces behind the land syndicates here in Mombasa points to a worsening state of affairs. But if the new push is anything to go by, then perhaps this could play a game changer for a region highly dogged by generational land injustices. Francis Ontomwa, KTN, Mombasa.
And a very good evening and welcome to KTN Business. My name is Abi Agina. We begin with the telecom company Safaricom maintained its title as the most profitable company with 31.9 billion shillings in its 2014-2015 financial year results. The telco registered growth in all its business lines with data and M-Pesa boosting revenue during the year, with Safaricom's board having extended Bob Collimo's term by 2 years. What does the next phase of growth hold for the company? Here is more on that report. It was another successful year for Safaricom, asserting its position at the stratosphere of profitable companies in the country. Total revenue was up 13% to 163.4 billion shillings. Voice continues to be a key component for the business with 87.4 billion shillings in revenue, while non-voice revenue was up 27% to 68.8 billion shillings.
We have grown revenues, we've acquired more customers, we got more than an additional 8% of customers, 8% growth in customers in the year, and of course more usage. You've seen more people using data, more people using M-Pesa.
But it was perhaps Safaricom's jewel in the crown, M-Pesa, that was pleasing to the company. M-Pesa revenue grew by 23% to 32.6 billion shillings, driven by increased agent outlets. Data also proved lucrative for Safaricom, with revenue of 59% to 14.8 billion shillings. With that growth momentum, it didn't come as a surprise when Safaricom board chairman announced the board had extended the CEO's term by a further 2 years.
We feel that continuity is very important, and it's not the sort of business environment in which to be changing captaincy of the ship. The ship is sailing well.
Already the CEO is planning for the next wave of growth, with plans to expand its 3G network to cover over 80% of the population from the current 69%.
We want to continue to roll out 3G.
It also plans to roll out faster 4G services to 13 towns by December, as well as add fiber optic connections to 10 more towns. With their fast-shrinking customer base, Safaricom is now considering the option of moving into the entertainment business by rolling out set-top boxes, which are set to compete with others in the market.
It will be a TV decoder with a SIM card, with data bundles, and with big bundles. And those bundles will cost less than if you're buying the bundles for mobile usage.
With that positioning in data, home broadband becomes a key part of business going forward. The board has recommended a dividend of 64 cents per share, bringing the total dividend payout to 25 billion shillings. Well, indeed, 32 billion shillings is equivalent to what the 3 top banks in Kenya made in their annual results. Moving on, in the ever-competitive alcohol beverage market, companies have to continuously innovate and invest to stay ahead of the competition. For the world's largest spirits producer, Diageo, the situation is no different. KTN's Michael Karanja recently sat down with Diageo's CEO, Ivan Menzies, to pick his brain on what it takes to stay competitive and what opportunities the company sees in Kenya for growth.
Growing everywhere in the world, and it's trading up. People are drinking better. And Diageo is very fortunate because we have a wonderful portfolio of brands across spirits and beer and wine. And we have a great geographic footprint of the emerging markets and the developed world. So as I look at my ambition for the company is to make us one of the best performing consumer product companies in the world. This is an exciting time to be in our business. Consumers are changing fast, trends are spreading. Companies that can be agile and quick to respond have very good opportunities to grow volume and value. The role for innovation is great, and again, one of Diageo's strengths is we are very good at new products. Consumer trends are moving much faster, and with our global presence and size and scale, what I really focus on is how do I keep this company agile, be the first to read the consumer trends and respond to market opportunities before our competition does. So this is one of those few businesses where you can go from $1 a bottle to $300 a bottle, and we segment the market, look at where the consumer opportunities are. So for example, in Africa, where in many countries about half the market is unorganized alcohol, we see a tremendous opportunity with GDP growth and consumer disposable income growing, that consumers will trade up into better brands. I always say our success comes from people drinking better. You can see it in our portfolio today. Some of our most interesting innovations have come out of this marketplace. I talked about Senator Keg. You look at Jebel. You look at what we're doing in the beer market with a brand like Balozi. There's plenty of opportunities to be and scale opportunities for us to tap into. There's a lot of competitive interest in the beer space. However, I think the companies that will win and sustain their leadership, and I'm proud of how we have held on strongly to our market leadership position in Kenya. You can't do it by resting on your laurels. You can't do it by just relying on being the biggest. You have to be the best, you have to be the quickest, and you have to be hungry to win. The emerging middle class is, whether it's social media or travel or trends, they're causing trends to move faster. And I think one of the strengths we have is because we operate across the world, I want us to be the company that picks those trends the quickest and moves them around the world the fastest. Our beer position, particularly in Africa, is a huge strength of this company. So when I look at our growth in beer and spirits in Africa, the two go hand in hand. And so our ability to take product to market, to understand consumer trends, to work with local communities, having the combined beer and spirits positions give us a great advantage. So my goal to the team is I want to win in spirits and I want to win in beer. And one of the things I pride myself at Diageo is we believe in doing business the right way all the time. And I want to ensure that every employee in the company really understands that and it enhances our reputation. I don't worry about competition. We can take them on. I don't worry about the ups and downs of emerging markets. We've seen that, and we will sustain our way through it.
Well, an interesting interview there by our business editor, Michael Karanja, and the president of Diageo, Ivan. Well, let's now take a look at how your money performed in our financial report.
Very glad you could join us for today's edition of KTN Sports. My name is Moses Wahisi. Starting us off, Kenya will be represented by 17 different sporting disciplines during the 2015 African Championship set for Congo-Brazzaville, and that's between the 4th and 19th September. Kenya's beach volleyball team is among the disciplines fighting for one of the slots in the games. The Africans on 5 beach volleyball qualifiers serves as the Kenyan coast on Friday, where Tanzania, Rwanda, Uganda, and also Egypt will be sending their teams.
Coach Sami Mulinga is upbeat. His Chargers will grab one of the 4 slots available for the Africa Games beach volleyball. The side has been shaping up for the Africa Zone 5 qualifiers, and already teams have arrived in the hosting county, Mombasa. Rwanda was expected later on Thursday evening, with Uganda, Tanzania and Egypt arriving earlier for the qualifiers that kick off on Friday morning.
I want to say that the team is training very hard, and we were well prepared for the championship, and I believe that the girls will be in top form when the championship starts.
2 players, Naomi To and Gladys Wangoi, were axed from the national team, with Eunice Mayo leaving the camp after losing her father. Gaudensia Makoha and Edna Rotich will be relied upon to deliver for the country. Team manager Ruth Ropp is in a buoyant mood ahead of the 2 days championship.
We are very optimistic. We see the way they are training, the way they are responding to the training. It is very, very good.
17 disciplines will represent the country in the All Africa Games slated for between 4th to the 19th September this year in Congo-Brazzaville. As has been the case in such international outings, track and field will be Kenya's lead disciplines. According to the Games Executive Officer Charles Nyaberi, Kenya will not be represented by fencing, gymnastics and bowling, since there are no substantive federations in the country at the moment. Hassan Juma, KTN Sports.
Still in matters volleyball now, after losing it to Tunisia last year, the national women's volleyball team is seeking to reclaim the African Nations Cup crown. The volleyball queens are currently in camp at the Kasarani Indoor Gymnasium, are hoping for a better outcome in the championship, which Kenya will host next month here in Nairobi.
After successful All-Africa Games qualifiers in Uganda, where Kenya booked a ticket for the Continental Showpiece set for Congo-Brazzaville, the national women's volleyball team has now shifted focus to their Africa Cup of Nations Championship that will be staged in Nairobi next month. Kenya is without a doubt among the biggest names in African women's volleyball, and with that the team has been the target of all competing teams.
With the good preparation that we are doing now, and putting in mind that some of our players have experienced in international matches, they have played professionals and they are joining us, I believe we are going to recapture the cup.
We know our strength, but our weaknesses is what we are going to work on, the reception and the services. Yeah, we are going to major on that, and I'm sure by the time the championship comes, we'll be ready.
With the well-oiled North African volleyball giants Egypt, Algeria and defending champions Tunisia expected to take part in the championship, Kenyan tacticians are banking on the inclusion of foreign-based players to steer the team to victory.
Outside, they have experience, so it will add up to the team. I'm sure we'll be a step higher than where we have been.
So far, we have played these teams at the club championship as a club, and we have seen them, how they play. Egypt, we have been them in Uganda, we have beaten them. but they're still a strong side.
The competition will also act as a qualifier for the 2015 Women's World Cup to be hosted in Japan from August 22nd to September 6, 2015. As the African queens keep polishing their art, one thing tops their motivation list: winning the African Nation Championships. Robinson Okenye, KTN Sports.
Well, it's time to wind up the bulletin, but let's remind you of our big question tonight. It wasn't really a yes or no. It didn't require a yes or no kind of answer, so we don't have a poll result. What we did ask is for you to comment on the security operation to deal with the Pokot-Turkana clashes. Let's see whether we can get a couple of your responses. It is high time the government stopped turning a blind eye to the real issue facing the people on the ground. That is from George Mwenda.
Tweet here from Francis Philip. You say the government has to do more in security matters because month after month Kenyans are losing their lives. While David Agara says there's little that these operations will yield unless the residents themselves show a need for peace.
A band-aid. Let's focus on the wound causes and more importantly how to prevent a recurrence of the same. That is from Kari Esachi.
All right. Weird Sarcasm says we need to sensitize and educate these communities. They need to be taught that there's more to life than fighting. So again, placing some of the responsibility on the community.
On the community, that's right. Amos Kitui says, now places the responsibility on the government, says let the government start with the disarmament process and open talks between the Turkana and the Pokot people.
George Mwenda says it's high time the government stop turning a blind eye to the real issues on the ground. And Bernard Coutinho, you say clashes like that need a peace operation in the area.
Burumu here says disarmament should be peaceful and infrastructure improved in marginalized regions for easier access. One of the things that, if you read today's papers, one of the things that really affected an operation in that area is the fact that there is actually no road infrastructure. It's very difficult to get to that area of Kenya, which brings us back to the issue of Nadome is actually Kenya.
It's part of Kenya, like the Red Cross was saying. The only way they could communicate was radio, radio frequencies, which were also not very reliable. So imagine a place with just absolutely no mobile connectivity whatsoever.
Well, from that to some inspiration, you expect Don Moen and Lenny LeBlanc, who are some huge names in the worship
amazing
industry.
They're legends, aren't they?
Yeah,
really?
Legends.
Yes, they are. And that's coming up on Jeff Koinange Live right after this. So we hope you enjoy. No, we know you'll enjoy the rest of your viewing. We're so glad you could be with us all of this week. I'm Nancy Kachingira. Have a great night.
My name is Wilson Mburu. Enjoy the rest of your viewing. Be inspired. Good night.